This is the last day of our San Francisco to LA trip. So if you want to see what it's going to be like riding from Santa Barbara 102 miles to the Hollywood Lake Park, please stay tuned. This is the final push. So basically today we are doing 102 miles and our rough estimates are going to be a little over 4,000-ish feet of climbing. We wanted to finish this trip out because of the rain. If you haven't watched the previous videos, we basically kind of inched our way forward. We've been ahead of schedule, but the rain really slowed us down the last 2 days. So instead of our original plan just ending in Ventura and then taking Ventura all the way to the Hollywood Lake Park, we are doing that all in one day, going along the coast basically the entire route, so it should at least be pretty. Hopefully the wind is in our favor and we don't get back too late. We are definitely fatigued, leaving a little bit late this morning than normal, but hey, it's been a long journey. I am definitely feeling it. We are eating some leftovers right now and then we're going to hit the road. And hopefully it's at least pretty out. This is the first day where it's been over 30 degrees when we've started riding for, I think, at least 3 days or so. So now when we look at the temperature and it's like 55 outside, we're like, oh man, it's 45. Oh.
But it'll get to the 50s.
Yeah, this is going to be the warmest weather we've had in a while. So we're actually pared down. Last day, Mario, any last words before we get going?
Nah, dude. I'm brain dead. I'm brain dead, honestly.
This is the day 7 slump. We're both a little slow. We haven't said as much this morning, but let's get on the bike and finish it off so we can finally get a day where we get to wake up and not have to get on the bike and can relax and recover fully.
Don't you feel like you're like on cruise control?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, this is my life now.
Just put your gear on, dry it out.
Good. I don't have to do laundry in a sink anymore. I'm looking forward to that. All right. So we are fully loaded to get out of town and restock a little bit later. I still have a full roll of Oreos in here as well. Mario's little leakers from yesterday decided to rear its ugly head, but shout out to Dynaplug again because that worked right away. We are 18 miles in, almost to Ventura, got about another 10 miles. Probably going to stop for a coffee, a bike shop, so Mario can actually get to riding pressure instead of sitting here for 30 minutes with his hand pump. I'm enjoying some on the ride red vines. That coastal view was killer. So we are mile 57 in. We are stopping at Neptune's Net for some fries, probably a beer, and a Coke, just to get some refuel. It's been a killer ride. As you've seen, it's just been a lot of the similar scenery along the coast, and definitely highly recommend it. There's only about a 10-mile section or so of PCH where there's no stopping or anything like that. There's plenty of bathrooms. Water might be an issue if it got hot, but there's plenty of rest stops and state beaches along the way. And then, like I said, we're stopping at Neptune's Net. You can definitely refuel here, but we're cooking pretty well right now. We know that after this is when most of the climbing is going to happen before we get into the heart of LA. But it's been a killer, beautiful ride so far. Alright, so it was kind of rainy and fast, and the cars are really crap, so I didn't film a whole lot. It rained on us a little, that's why we're wearing rain jackets. We're at mile 101. We got one left, or 2.2 left. We're 6 hours and 30 minutes in, 3,200 feet of climbing. And there's this crazy switchback section. I think it's 400 feet in 2 miles. And then I think that's it. Shut up, Google. This is not okay. 12%, mile 101 basically. It's quality content. I'm just gonna do like 7 minutes of heavy breathing. ASMR. Climbing ASMR. Michael dying ASMR. Mario eating and trying to breathe ASMR. Oh. No! No more! What was the stat? 102 what? Hollywood sign's over there. Let's see. It's over there somewhere.
102 miles.
I got 30.
102.9 miles.
I got 3,856 feet of climbing. 6 hours, 50 minutes.
Woo!
Good night. Hello, welcome to day 8. I always keep my microphone right next to my bed at all times, and I'm always video ready, if we will. So at this point, you've seen, hopefully, all of my, what was supposed to be a 7-day journey from San Francisco to Los Angeles, which turned into 7. And this is just to go over a brief summary of some of the stats and things that we did and what to expect when doing this yourself. I am literally the day after. This is when I'm filming this, and this is how I'm legitimately feeling to go through all those things in this video. Please make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more bedhead and bike talk. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do, because you're going to get quality content like this every single week. I legitimately woke up, set up the camera, and went back to bed, and then remembered I needed to shoot this. So here we go. But first, let me get a coffee. Cheers. All right, so let's just talk about averages and what we did totally as far as complete stats. I did all the math so that you can know what to expect based on our trip. I know that originally the trip was intended for 8 days and 550 miles, which was our rough estimate. If you have watched all the 7, you understand that we did modify the routes a few times just based on us never doing this and kind of cross-referencing the routes that I had with Google day of, especially when considering the weather and the rain that we had that you saw in the video series. So our total mileage, which didn't count for any extra trips or rides to get food or anything like that, just Strava mileage, came in at right at 505 miles. It was like 504 point something. So let's just make it easy, make it 505. Now, as far as the rides go, they did range in mileage. The lowest amount of miles that we did have was 43.3 miles with only 2,000 feet of climbing. Now, the biggest day that we had as far as mileage goes was going to be our last day of the trip. We did push through from Santa Barbara all the way to our end destination, and that was 102 miles. The biggest climbing day that we had was our first day from San Francisco to Santa Cruz, which was 5,420 feet of elevation gain and 84.3 miles. I averaged all of our speeds on the trip, and that came out to about 14.1 indicated via Strava. Our highest average was 15.7, and I think our lowest was 13 even. And as far as bikes go, my bike fully loaded, depending on the amount of food I had on there, was probably close to 40 pounds, maybe a tad under, with 2 full water bottles. And Mario's bike, I believe, weighed a little bit over 40, since his tail fin rack did add a little bit more weight, and his bike is just slightly heavier than my Cobalt Warhawk. And then the total time it took for this trip was 26 hours and 49 minutes. That is not including rest stops. That's physically butt in the saddle, moving along, pedaling for this 7-day journey. That's what you can roughly expect. As far as fitness goes, we are not the fittest and fastest guys out there. We had been training and we did feel good on the bike. And shockingly, we're actually very happy with just how we felt at the end of the day most days. Obviously, with those 2 big days, we were pretty disheveled closer to the end of the trip. But if you watch the vlog, we did have 2 days that were at 43 and 47 miles. And that was just a nice kind of recovery day that really did help us push harder and get that last 102 Century Mile in to finish up the trip a day early. And like we had mentioned in the video, realistically, we probably could have done it in 6 and combined the 2 43 and 47 mile days if it wasn't going to rain. It would have been definitely physically very taxing, but I think realistically how we felt, we would have definitely pushed for that if it wasn't going to be raining as much as it did, because we didn't want to possibly get sick or stuck out in the rain for too long. Lastly, the amount of calories that we burned on average every day. I averaged via my Fitbit that I was wearing constantly for this entire trip because I really was honestly interested. Obviously, the Strava calorie burn isn't going to have your total active calories, since again, some days we did walk for 30 to 45 minutes around or walking around or exploring. So obviously you're going to burn more calories there. And so my average for the trip was 5,457 calories average per day, with my peak calorie burn of 7,058 calories. And that was during the first day ride because of the amount of climbing. That's what you can kind of expect as far as if you're looking into nutrition and how much you need to eat going into this trip. So I'm happy we finished. I'm happy to be home. I'm happy to get off the bike. My lower back is actually more sore than my legs are, surprisingly. After about day 4, like I kind of mentioned in the video, you just kind of get to this like plateau as far as how your legs feel. At least for me and Mario, that's what happened to us. My lower back, I did start taking ibuprofen for to help along this trip, and that did help get me through the day, just because it's fine if I'm kind of bent forward like this, but if I stand up completely straight, it's a little sore. So hopefully that'll right itself in a few days after a much needed couple of days off the bike for recovery. But that's it for this video. I hope everyone enjoyed the full series. I am literally downloading the footage right now, so I really would appreciate it if you would subscribe if you haven't already and turn notifications on so you can see all the following content I'm going to be doing on this channel. I'm hoping to be doing more trips like this in the future. I had a lot of fun. There was a lot of ups and downs. We learned a lot, and I would love to translate that to my audience and any of my new subscribers or people stumbling upon this channel because of this trip. This is something I'm really interested in trying to do more of, and I can't wait for the next one. And I'll be announcing that soon once we iron out the details. We're working on it with me and Mario, doing another epic adventure so that you can have an idea of what to plan for and expect. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I check them every single day, as well as you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description, as well as you can help support Locked In via my Spreadshirt and my Patreon page that are in the description below. That does help fund these trips, since YouTube is my full-time gig and it does not pay the bills just yet. And lastly, thanks for watching this episode of Locked In.
Let's get locked in.